Hello and welcome to this podcast. It is called Popcorn and Plot Holes. I was trying to change it up.
I was going to pay you a compliment for
ashamed?
not sounding like a dead person, and then you forget the name of the thing.
No, I didn't forget it. It's up on the upper left-hand corner of our recording software. I'm trying new energy. It always feels weird to just say the same thing over and over again.
Fair enough.
Expecting different results. Speaking of expecting different results, Luciano, yeah, you're still here.
What does that mean? What do you know how sentences work? Yes, I'm here, apparently.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to tell you something.
Moving on, Chris, you're still here.
I am still here. Wait, I don't like that tone either. What the fuck?
Yeah, it hurts when it comes to you. And Spencer has vanished. I hope he's okay. But we've replaced Spencer and other Matt with a brand new guest, first time. Ashley, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
I would
I'm so
thank
glad
us,
to be
but-
here for this.
Yeah, don't thank us
magnificent
yet.
film. No, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
You're welcome. Sarcasm not detected. Let's dive right into this. We watched Borderlands, I don't know, man. Fuck.
Shit.
Who wants to own this vehicle?
The Eli Roth vehicle. Look at how many times his name fucking appeared
That
in
is
the
true.
end credits.
Yeah.
That is
Why?
true. That is true.
Why?
No one else
He's
wanted
proud
to
of
take
it.
credit. Everyone was like, no,
He's proud of it.
pass. I didn't
He
touch
shouldn't
it.
be. Yeah, the Eli Roth vehicle that works. Borderlands. It is I use this term because I'm legally required to adaptation of the Borderlands video games.
Legal legalities? What are they?
2K and Gearbox called you. It was like, you better fucking call it
They
an
said-
adaptation. Okay.
Randy Pitchford himself sent me a sternly worded email. Make sure you mention Gearbox Studios. So there, we got it in. Let's do what we always do. Let's start with at least one positive thing before potentially we talk about some negative things. I don't want to tell you where to go. But let's start with Luciano. What was good about this movie?
Okay, so because you asked for one good thing, I'm going to give you two. And the reason I'm going to give you two is because I know it's going to stir some controversy here.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked the fight scene when they're with the psychos that even the psychos are afraid of, the blood shots or whatever. But not because the scene was particularly good, but because it was Motorhead's Ace of Spades playing. That I was like, okay, I'm in. This is the best scene in this movie. I'm done. But I also loved Jack Black as Claptrap. I'm not even being ironic. I really loved it. To me, it was the saving grace of this fucking movie. Knowing that Jack Black was going to be there.
I will say that Jack Black certainly carried the spirit of Claptrap from the video game.
Right? That's what I thought too. I wish his
yeah.
voice was a little bit more robotic. Like
Sure.
I recognize too much of Jack Black's own voice in it. I don't think it's good, but the spirit of the character was very much the same as in the game. I
That's
thought.
fair.
Yeah.
Ashley, I understand you may be hyperventilating. We will get to your version of Claptrap after we go through everybody's one positive thing.
I appreciate the acknowledgement of the faces I'm making, podcast world.
Yeah, we need to be auditory. I'll let you come down from that blood rush of anger. Chris, what was your good thing?
My good thing was how perplexed I was. No, my good thing was watching Kevin Hart try to be something he's not. I like watching people struggle sometimes, and Kevin has a.
This
Kevin's
feels like a
got funny-
backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
What you're gonna get is what I give you. Kevin should be doing what he's doing to the best of his ability, and he's funny no matter what he does. And so I'm glad that shines through.
Weird, because I thought he was not funny in this almost.
Hey, man, positive only.
All right, fine.
You gotta wait your turn.
I liked him as an action actor in this case, actually.
I got a
was
list
okay.
of people rebuking your positivity. You're second on the list currently. Let's
They're
get
banging
that.
the door down.
There's a lot to go through. Ashley,
Satan!
positive thing?
Positive. High pitched voices. I would say the everlasting beret, like the hat that never falters. It seemed to stay on ahead
Yep.
the entire duration of the film, no matter the energy, the explosion. That is one hardworking motherfucking hat. So that would be the one saving grace, and that tells you against the background of my tone how I feel about this.
great.
The most trustworthy character in this
Is the hat.
movie is the hat.
Correct.
Hat sticks
Yeah.
by, like handles it, is always on top. Hat.
Fair, fair.
For the Oscar. That's it.
Preach.
That's all I got.
The Oscar.
The Oscar goes to
The Oscar
the
of
hat
hats.
for
That's
existing.
it. Yes.
I would like to give you my one positive thing.
Oh,
Nothing. This movie is a godforsaken blight on society. And we're all worse for having watched it. Ashley, would you like to talk about how much you hate Claptrap?
Thanks for passing the mic. Yes, I would. So first of all, I think for me, it's like there has to be like an energy of it being like funny picking. Like, you know, you grow up with like a certain kind of energy when you go back and forth. You learn how to like parlay, kind of. This was just like fucking lame. Like none of it landed, none of it was funny, none of it was interesting. It wasn't like picky, cute. It wasn't like edgy. Like I love robots. Like as a rule, if it's a robot, I'm like, yes, this robot, because Jack Black. Sorry, sir, if you're listening. Not sorry.
I
All
doubt
of
it.
it was just to him. I know he's like, this is his podcast of choice. He's like, fuck. But no, this like there was just something. It was almost too human and too forced. Like nothing else in this film was too forced. But it was like, the energy of it was just all like, it wasn't fun or funny. He was annoying. It was annoying, and I was like, it should be a machine that can die, and it can. I was like, fucking kill it.
Luciano,
So-
would you like to re-rebuke?
Yeah.
Let them fight. Let them fight.
I'm having like the feeling that I'm getting is I went to watch this movie and I was like, this is going to fucking suck. Right? And it did not suck as much as I expected it to. So I was like, okay, that's all right. But so like I love Jack Black just in general. And
So
and I was like, when I first heard his
Stay out of it,
voice
Chris.
coming out of no. Like, so when I first heard his voice coming out as Claptrap, I was like, if nothing else, I'll have Jack Black to see me through this, right? But I actually agree with you, Ashley. Like, it's too human sounding, right? It doesn't sound like a robot. I don't mind the banter. Like the jokes are kind of flat. I agree. Like I like the fact that he, like I said, maintains the way that Claptrap is. Like Claptrap does not respect any fucking body in the game.
Yeah.
Like he will shit talk you. And I thought they were gonna try to make him like R2D2, like BB-8 cutesy, and I was like, no, I'm enslaved to you. You're a horrible person. Did you die? Oh no, I have to stop celebrating. Like I like that vibe, but it was too Jack Black a little bit.
Yeah, because that vibe would be dope. Like if it landed, it just didn't.
I don't know. I enjoyed actually most of the scenes that I most enjoyed were like I loved Claptrap crapping bullets. Like I was just stupid 13-year-old me humor. I was laughing like an idiot. I was like, oh my god. Of course they made him crap bullets. But I like Matt, you said this is a godforsaken blight on humanity. I was like, you know what? I'm okay with this movie. That's how I finished. Just a lampshade to the end when we
Cool.
do our reviews.
Yeah.
But I was
Who
like,
knows?
this could have been much worse. that was my
Could have?
feeling. Yes, it could have.
Could.
I'm not sure
I'm
that's
not
a way
sure I
to...
want to investigate that because that's concerning
Let's
on a level.
Let's
So,
tackle it a different way. Let's just continue talking through this movie and see if we can figure out why his brain is broken. Luciano, it's just for clear, not Claptraps. So, this movie, it's an original story in the Borderlands universe. They take elements from
Yeah.
this. There are 5 games, I think, in Borderlands. There's Borderlands 1, 2, 3. There's the outer
pre-sequel?
space one.
And the pre-sequel. Yeah.
And then there's Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which technically I guess doesn't count because it's like a D&D
It's a spin-off, yeah.
themed. It's a
Yeah.
spin-off. But so at least in the four games, they take different elements from the games and sprinkle them liberally throughout the movie. And so like Marcus, for example, in the video game, Marcus he sells you guns.
Yeah.
He's Russian. Or Russian sounding. I understand why they might not want to use that accent given the current climate we're in.
Yeah.
But that's why he's like horny for guns, and he like talks to General Knox and is like, "I never forget a gun," is because technically that's his job.
His thing, yeah.
Yeah. But like, I guess the thing that caught me here was that, and this might tread a bit on the plot holes that we're going to cover, but it's an interesting choice for a movie based on a video game to just be a generic action movie, like a tropey action movie. And even if this wasn't based on a video game, it had no hope of being a fun action movie because it doesn't do anything interesting or like original or cool. Like I always bring up John Wick all the time. For some reason, that's my go-to movie. But John Wick had a cool mystery and lore behind, okay, he's an assassin, but they have coins and this is world and blah, blah, blah. And even though like it's tropey that they killed his dog and he wanted to murder everybody, that's just the one thing. And then he goes off and has his amazing adventure.
And it leans on it, right? Like they know it's tropey. They know it's like a cliche. Yeah. Yeah.
And this movie seems to go through acting like nothing here is a cliche. Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this kid is the
chosen one.
The chosen one.
Yeah.
And it's like, this kid's the chosen one. It's here. Yeah. Look, everybody, this is the one.
It fooled I don't know if it fooled anybody, but like, I know a little bit about the games. Matt, you've played more than I did. But the first scene when they talk, like in the narration in the beginning, the daughter of Iridia, blah, 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 and they go rescue Tiny Tina. I'm like, who believes it that it's just some random like kid and not fucking Kate Blanchett that's going to be the main character of this whole thing? Come on. It was dumb. That was very dumb. I think the problem there is they tried so hard to world build, and I use the word here very loosely, because they try to keep alluding to the game, but only they didn't like pick up a story that's set in the world of the game and then tell the story. They picked up some random, very cliched and deadbeat story, and they kept saying, "Hey, remember this is Borderlands. Remember this is Borderlands. Remember this." Like it's not a story. It's a bunch of like beats with references to like, it's almost like the Borderlands thing is a product placement more than an element of the actual story.
Sounds hollow to me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And it was hard to tell if it was like trying to be camp because it was so shit. And it's like, are people knowing that it's this garbage and trying to amp it up to the maximum so that you're like, oh, it's campy and that makes it fine? But then it was like,
it doesn't get there, right?
Every piece. Yeah. And so it's like the story, nah. The acting, nah. Everything was just nah. Like there was, it was almost like jarring to watch because usually you want some sense of immersion, right? And I think that's the beauty of video games is that when you are that first person, it is your story and you are in it. And this was so absolutely not remotely even an inch of that. And so I think that's a uniformly big issue to tackle with video game adaptation anyway, full stop, period. But like in this case, I was like, am I supposed to believe it or am I meant to suspend my disbelief in the hopes that I can fall into whatever fucking shit they're trying to sell me right now? Like it was busted.
If they try
not to get scientific, but shit was broke. Okay.
They try to be camp, they failed. If they try to be serious, they failed. So when the movie starts, right? When the movie starts and you see that scene, especially that scene with like Lilith shooting up the whole bar and that whole thing, I was like, okay, it's going to lean into like the absurd of it, but then they stop. And it only ever comes back at the end again when she has the wings. That's the only time where like the absurdity comes back. Right?
It's like the wrong ingredients going into a meal. Like you look at these ingredients, you're gonna think, oh, dessert, but then they make some fucking soup.
Yeah, I was gonna go the other way. I was like, oh, let's make some omelets, and someone hands you a tray of like mushrooms or marshmallows, and you go.
I want to get on this metaphor. I like the metaphor from Friends, where halfway through she's Rachel's making a trifle, and then the
Yeah.
pages rift, and then the
Yeah.
rest of it is like a shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened to this movie.
Yeah. You're not going to be Joey? You're not going to be...
Listen, I hate that. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to be mad at that because that actually kind of sounds delicious. But this was
I'd
like,
take a shepherd's pie right now over this movie.
Right? But this was just a mess. Like, at least those two things are two coherent wholes that were added together. I don't know what the fuck this is. Like, it's not a video game. It's not a movie. It's not an interesting story. It's got no cohesion. It has no pacing. It literally makes no sense. Like, I've never felt so, like, outside of a film. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That.
Oh, go, Matt. You want to say?
Well, I was gonna say, I played all the Borderlands games. I really like the Borderlands games, and instantly my reaction to this movie was this movie doesn't understand what it
Borderlands.
feels like.
Thank
to play
you. That was
Borderlands.
the question. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
coming
just
out of what you're saying.
it is, as Luciano said, it is product placement for Borderlands, and you
Yeah.
know, there's the creatures. And like
The
some of the humor is
world
like
and...
yeah, like the piss lands or whatever, that humor is in Borderlands, but it's like
Yeah.
the way everything's utilized and done is like the classic thing to me. To get back on the tropes thing, the classic trope is like when Tina winds down the window and they're like, close the window, but no one can just tell her close the window because you get piss in your mouth.
Yeah.
And it's just like that is a classic trope that probably shouldn't ever be in any movie.
It's too...
It's just infuriating.
So played
Correct.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very angry, especially since like Tina and Roland and Krieg, they've spent time together. Why wouldn't you listen when when they were driving into that region, it was piss something.
Yeah.
Put it together. She's not dumb, but she did a dumb thing.
Well, that happens a lot in the movie where a character will act slightly out of character because the plot or some like gimmick wants it.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same with Lilith and when they're in the mines and like the fucking crab floaty thing from Atlas comes in and you have the hologram and they're just talking like pals. Like, oh, you know, I told you not to disappoint me. And she goes, yeah, I know. It's like, what the aren't you mad? Like, he tried to kill you. He lied to you. And now you're like, just, oh, you know, what you gonna do? You know, now they're too... No, like, be mad. Shoot the thing. No, they needed Tina to see her talking to Atlas so they can split them up. And it's like, let's make Lilith act completely out of character because we need to.
Yeah. It was a completely different... It was night and day compared to the very... Like, the scene when she shoots up the bar, which was the energy I was hoping for the rest of her character going through.
Yeah. Well,
And you can't start with that and end with this. And I think it's that disjointed flip-floppiness that it makes you not able to understand the character or gravitate because they keep changing and into things you don't like. Like, you need to invest in a movie is a short period of time to learn, understand, and give a shit about a character. And they didn't spend the time to make them consistent enough to even be approachable, never mind believable.
Honestly, the character they do the best... That like the character that's the most believable of the main characters
Bernie
is Roland. Is Roland because he's always acting the same way at least, right? He's like driven and blah blah blah. Yeah. Well, Krieg too, but then Krieg is easy.
But I mean, Roland's easy too. Krieg is the crazy violent guy.
But Lilith was easy too, and they fucked up. So
right, but they're all just the same character. That's the other thing, right?
True.
Like, Krieg's a little crazier than Roland. Or a little crazier than Lilith, and Lilith's a little crazier than Roland.
Right.
And Tina is
whatever the plot needs.
She bounces from top to bottom. But like, if you're going to do an ensemble cast, can we get some different characters who bring different things and vibes to the crew, not just I'm really good at killing things,
or you know, lean into it being like dumb and campy and stupid and make the characters be zany all the time, do all the sort like that's what I'm saying. If they wanted to be camp, they needed to be more ballsy than they were. This was like an attempt and a failure at being campy, but also it wasn't serious or cohesive enough to not be. You can see the sort of the aborted attempt at campiness. I think that's the worst part. The only time I felt like this was like an actual Borderland thing was that scene, the fight scene in the basement there with the million cycles. Because that's how it feels to play Borderlands, where you're shooting at everything that moves, right? But that was the only time, and they can clearly do it. even in the treasure scene, which I was expecting to be like, okay, they're gonna explode the treasure, or I don't know, send the treasure after the enemy. No, they just shoot through it. It dies. They fly away, and it's done. And they complain about piss. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
It's a very confusing thing for an outsider, a first-time viewer coming to Borderlands. The trailer alone, with the cut, like again, and I, like again, going in with zero, I was cool with the visual, like the treatment, and having seen bits and pieces of the game over the years, I was like, oh, this might be interesting. But then at the same time, again, similar to the inconsistencies of Lilith, and then when you get in thinking it's going to be one way, they switch it up on you again and again and again. And here's the thing. I don't blame Kate Blanchett. I liked her as Lilith, but at the same time, I have no previous knowledge. And so I was okay with her intro to this setting, but then it was just confusing in different areas and letting me down.
And like, who was the intended audience, right? Like, who were they making this film for? Because if it's people who understand Borderlands, played it, loved it, fail. And if it's for people who had no fucking clue, also fail. Because they didn't spend the time to build anything to make it interesting enough to buy in, or even make it believable enough to suspend for that space. Like, I was mad at the $20 I just spent. I'm like, shit. You know what I mean? You don't want that. Like, I don't know who they.
$20.
I worked hard for my money, and I did not appreciate.
That's the crux of the problem with this movie, right? Is the movie is trying so hard to not anger anybody that it,
but also to appeal to everybody.
Yeah, it's just trying to not piss off anybody. So if you're as generic as possible, everybody can watch your movie. Yeah. But like that's not true. Especially in 2024, if your movie isn't doing something specific or saying something specific, no one's going to watch it.
What they did was,
especially if it's a video game film. Sorry, but don't do that. Piss off. Like, people who play video games love video games. I is one of those people. I'm sorry, Fallout. Go F yourself. Absolutely not. Thank you. I never watched that show. Like, if you love games...
It's actually pretty good.
It's actually a really good show.
I bet. Yeah. But, sure. Good for fucking Fallout, but not me, because I want to be... I am the character in my stories. You feel me? Like I love that game so deep because of the choices I get to make. And that's the beauty of video games and the medium of video games. It is not a passive activity. It's an action activity where you choose, you do, you engage. Why am I sit back and watch some motherfucker? No. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And like, you will alienate the audience because the audience are the people who know the game, dude.
Well, I know. I don't know if you make it a good thing, especially if you don't try to retell the same story that the game has. Because that, I agree, the story that you're playing, that I'm supposed to be the protagonist there. I don't want to see some other person there.
So Luciano, we're like dangerously close to the plot hole. I think we should just dive into the plot hole?
Of course. We're professional podcasters. We should just segue when the segue presents itself.
Yeah, so let's segue professionally without having to talk about it like professionals do.
No, professionals always lampshade how professionals they are.
Ashley, welcome to a professional podcast. Hello. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Plot hole. There's one plot hole in this movie. And I will say up front, there's lots of problems with this movie. Plot holes are hard to find because there's no story. So what we're talking about here is this is a plot hole for this movie, but it might go other places. Video games as in movies is a plot hole. Yes. Because it is so insanely hard for someone to make a movie about a video game property specifically and make it good. This one, very bad. I think Luciano and I know one that was also not great. Warcraft. We had a very bad time.
You know, and I know that we both like that movie, but that's because that movie has so many references to WoW and everything. And we don't like the movie. We like to, I know that thing. That's what we like.
But that's not a good movie.
No,
right?
true,
Ashley,
it's not.
What's your favorite terrible adaptation?
My favorite adaptation of a video game?
No, terrible.
Oh, terrible?
The worst adaptation.
It's really hard because I hate all of them. But because it just comes back to the main thing that I don't want to passively watch. Like, to me, it's the undoing of the whole point of the video game. Like, I want to play, even if it's like a super linear bake by number, like paint by number like choose your adventure bullshit, I'm doing it. And so I find I cannot participate in films that are video games. But number one, the worst one, I've never in my life left a movie theater except for Mortal Kombat 2. That stupid scene with Liu Kang and that fucking ball with what's her name rolling around, and that's Roman. I was like,
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I forgot about that scene.
it has seared itself. There are things I can't remember in my real life because that's in there. Do you know how traumatic that shit is? Anyway, that was
Chris,
the fucking
do you
worst.
wanna add one as well?
Definitely. It has to be, absolutely has to be for me, the first Dungeons and Dragons movie.
What, the Jeremy Irons one?
Jeremy Irons.
The Jeremy Irons
Oh
movie.
my-
I used to work at Cineplex when I think it was I was working at the at Famous Players called at the time. I don't care if it dates myself, but I saw the ending coming from a mile away when they're gonna revive Snails. If they fucking revive Snails and don't let him die and give him after sacrificing himself, taking something from the black man, I'm gonna walk out of this theater. And then as soon as the twinkle on the tombstone trickled in, I got up. And I walked down the stairs, and I turned back, and I waited for it, and I shook my fist at that bitch, and then they brought him back, and then I walked the fuck out.
But Chris,
I remember that shit.
Dragons.
No, it's not. Come on.
I love that.
Dragons! It's like 7 syllables, that word.
But that's not Jeremy Irons. It was.
Oh,
it was,
yes,
they
no, it
ruined
is.
for me.
He,
I don't
Jeremy
blame.
Irons,
No, I don't blame him. I
Jeremy
blame
Irons
the
was
movie
like,
and what they did it.
This is hot
Yes.
garbage. I'm just gonna have fun. I don't blame the man. He should.
But it kind of was a fun. Okay, I won't derail us, but I do feel like it was kind of like you can watch it and find it hilarious. I would not rewatch Borderlands. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a difference. There was
yes.
an inherent joy of watching something that's kind of shit, but in a fun way. This is just no. I did a lot of gesticulation. I'm
For
sorry.
me, that is Alone in the Dark. Absolutely the worst movie I've ever watched in my entire life.
Yeah. So let's we can name shit adaptations till the cows come home. That's a different podcast entirely. But in the guise of shit, can we Ashley kind of alluded to it, the fact that you're taking a thing that you experience as yourself doing and trying to make it into a medium. And it brings to mind the Doom movie with The Rock and Carl Urban, where they have that 10-minute first person scene where Carl Urban wakes up and it's supposed to be like the video game.
It's the only fun part of that movie.
It's hilarious.
I wasn't expecting it, and it was fun.
It just shows you they were trying to be okay, it's first person, let's do the first person thing, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And so is there a way to make a movie about a video game or including the video game that makes sense? Because the one example I have that was okay is Super Mario. The Super Mario movie, the animated one made by Illumination, the one that just came out 2023?
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
Was all right.
Decent. Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it was okay.
Fun.
Actually, you want to
There's
jump
a
in?
reason for that.
Maybe. I think, okay, so Street Fighter to the animated movie. Maybe if we're going to go from video game that we go to anime. Do you know what I mean? I think live action is such a weird detraction that adds all these bonkers layers, but maybe anime is the sweet spot because you can hit all the absurdity, you can get the kind of energy and the support that you need in the world building because you do have to animate it. And I think it demands a different way of seeing things and presenting them. So almost like the alternative. For me, I just don't think it shouldn't be people. Street Fighter, also terrible film.
Oh yeah.
Why?
That's also terribly so bad that it's good.
It's still better than Borderlands, R.I.P. Raul Julia.
But is it though? And we're not going to get into that.
I mean, John Cena is all American.
But I think one of the important things that I think is Ashley touched on this is
sorry, Chris. I have to say this, Chris. You need to be way more French when you said that.
Yeah. Masonic.
Petit Sonic Boo!
The curse de Québécois has infected you, clearly. Sorry, Luciano, back to what you were saying.
So I was going to say, actually touched on this, is I don't think any video... First of all, the main thing is for me, a movie usually doesn't have enough runtime to tell the story of the game because the game runs much longer. So a series might be a better idea, but one way or another, I don't want to see the same story that I'm playing when I'm playing the video game. When I'm playing it, I'm the protagonist. I don't want to see some other person play it. Now, let's use Warcraft as an example. There's a huge lore and story behind it. There's definitely stuff you can tell, stories you can tell that aren't exactly the game, but that you can tell that they're part of the video game. You can do it well. But the thing is, some games will lend themselves better. Like, I haven't watched it, but apparently the series of Last of Us is really good too. Right, but that's a much more
action.
Yeah, but much more real. It's much more realistic than Borderlands, for example. Right, so it's easier to do in live action. So I think the thing is, movie studios are usually too scared to stray too far, right? And we talked about this when we talk about anime movies. It's the same thing. Like Dragon Ball Evolution, where they're like, oh, Bulma has blue hair. Let's put Emmy Rossum with a single fucking blue strand of hair. Fuck you. Just don't do it. Don't insult me. You know what I mean? So it's adaptation isn't let's take exactly what the video game was and just put actors to do it. You have to adapt it to the medium, right?
Yeah. Well, and like, so, I mean, I guess the question there is, you kind of answered it, but I want to throw it to everybody else too, is like, are we picking the wrong things to make into movies? Now, obviously, when you bring up Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, there are examples of movies that are fighting tournaments that are, dare I say, good.
Return of the Dragon? No, Enter the Dragon, sorry.
Yeah, blood.
I mean, good is a strong word. It's fun.
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport,
again,
love of
it's
my
fun.
life. Yes.
Yeah.
But
So, but
Kumite.
Well, it made me so happy. Yes, thank you.
But then we I don't know if you guys have watched the trailer for Minecraft.
There's a Minecraft movie?
Yeah.
Why am I surprised there's a Tetris movie?
Jason Momoa. See, okay, so Jason Momoa is the star of that movie. The thing, you bring up the Tetris movie, but the thing about the Tetris movie is the Tetris movie isn't about Tetris.
The game, right?
It's about getting the game made. So at least that has some logic to it.
Fair.
But so many of these video game adaptations, Doom is another good example, is a studio trying to take a popular video game franchise and ham-fist
money.
a movie out of it because it's popular, and they just assume people are going to see Super Mario on the title and go watch John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins and Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper. Yeah.
So much drama there too.
Yeah.
Guys.
That's enough drama for a lifetime. You're right, actually. So we're clearly picking the wrong things. Like, again, Last of Us is a game that's driven by a dramatic narrative, and so it lends itself so closely to being a movie that is there like a video game now that could be a good movie that is not being looked at?
God of War.
Yeah.
God of War could work.
It has it's stylized enough that you would recognize it. It's not just insert another Greek mythology tale here. Like it has its own thing, but the story is very rich. So, I mean, that Sony would fucking ham-fist the whole thing, but they could if they wanted to make a good movie.
And you're talking about like the new God of War,
not the original. No.
Yeah.
The original is more of a Super Mario, like the 90s Super Mario sort of deal where there's no real story. It's just
OG God of War
bald man
could work
goes
too.
chop chop. Like that's what the fucking story is.
But it does speak to like the things that you need, which is like like the background, the storyline, like Castlevania did so good as the first one. That was fucking incredible because the lore is so strong. The story is so strong, and there's
they adapted it, right?
To it, right?
They didn't just go, let's like pluck this from the video game and plop it into the anime.
Yeah,
but they kept the essential pieces.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Belmont is still there, right? Yeah. He's there.
It's a different Belmont, though.
Exactly. So like they adapted it.
Yes.
They didn't just ham-fist it, like you said. Right?
Yeah. No, it's a really good example of one that works well.
Yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn. Just Horizon, the series. Yeah.
That makes
would
sense.
be, but I think that needed to be animated because like the the robot like animals, they would be so cheesy in like CG with real actors.
We've seen worse.
True.
Right, but did that make it good?
Yeah.
Like I want to see what is a good video game that could a video game that could be adapted successfully
to live action
into a movie. Yeah,
specifically?
into a live
like
action.
Diablo.
Okay.
Like
See, Diablo is an
Deep
excellent
Dark?
choice.
Like that could be interesting. I think there's enough there that you could like do something with it, and it doesn't exceed the realm of like the cool kind of mechanistic like the art that you could put in place and like all the demony work and all like the cool like that could be really rad without having to go CGI. You could do like the actual like
maybe StarCraft if we're talking Blizzard still. It'd be hard to make the Protoss not be cheesy, but they could pull it off. I mean, they did with the orcs on Warcraft. Like the CG wasn't the problem in Warcraft.
No, I think you're bordering on something that I think you have to watch out for is how far into the fantastical you're going to go. Yeah. And to Ashley's point, something like Diablo is easier to pull off because by nature it's dark, and whenever you make things dark, it's way easier to
get away with
practical
things.
effects and CGI looks realistic, right? So it's a balance of both. And like that's one thing I noticed about this movie that pissed me off right away is like they CGI'd everything. They CGI'd her Lilith driving the fucking vehicle around.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, I guess that's cheaper than building the car, but it's just like to what end, right? And so when you're thinking of a good adaptation, Last of Us, great because it's humans doing human things.
Yeah.
Like to me, I always think the Gears of War would be a really good one to adapt because so much of that is people being humans and fighting a war, and the things they're fighting are generally just humanoids. So you can just make up a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, Fallout, same thing.
Yeah.
Isn't Halo a TV series that's kind of doing well? I haven't seen it, but isn't
Halo
kind of doing
Halo's failing
okay?
because they are just fucking with the lore because they can. That's why I got canceled.
Oh, it got canceled. Okay.
Yeah. But
Mass
another one that
Effect.
could have been good. Mass Effect would be great.
Mass Effect is a spacey.
Mass
I would have
Effect
liked to have
has
seen.
such a good story, like the world they built. That could, but don't make it a movie. Okay, BioWare,
No.
fucking EA. I know you're listening because this is a famous podcast. Don't fucking make a movie out of Mass Effect. It needs to be a series with like 11 seasons.
See, I disagree.
Ooh.
I don't
like challenge it to be the next Battlestar.
I
or
think
Battle 1.5.
you can make a movie, but you need to
A contained story.
find a contained story, right?
Fair.
Like it doesn't
Fair.
have to be a It's better if it's a TV series in many cases. Like obviously, especially if you're like The Last of Us. The one thing The Last of Us is doing, which is interesting, is they're just telling the story from the video games with tweaks for TV, but they're trying to tell the same story.
Right.
So of course you need a series to be able to do that because
there's a lot of story.
lots of hours. But if you just want to tell a story in a universe, you can you could time box it into an hour and a half. Just make it small. Like that's the thing, right? Everyone wants to be like, I'm saving the universe.
No,
in an hour and a half.
It does not have
tops.
to be. Yeah. It does not have
Too forced.
That's the kind of thing that lends itself to most video games. Like you want to feel the hero who saved the universe, right? A movie doesn't have to be about that. Like I don't think it would be good to have like the story of the games of Mass Effect games into a series because it's too like if you go back and look at those stories, you go that doesn't make sense. That one, that also doesn't make sense. Oh, Cerberus, that none of that makes sense. But in the video game, you abstract it. You go, okay, fine. It needs to happen because of gameplay, right? Like it's too ham-fisted even in the video game, but it works. In the movie, it's too evident, I guess is the word. Like the exaggerations that work on a video game, like you go, okay, I just don't believe this, right?
Because there's time.
Not just
there's
that.
like
You're
not
to
in a movie,
Ashley's
there's
point.
time in a game.
You're looking from outside, right? You're looking in. When you're playing the thing, you're more forgiving. It's like, yeah, I'm awesome. This is why this happens, right? That kind of thing.
And it's almost inverse too, because like when I play a game, I want it to be long. I don't want it to end, but a film has to wrap up and it has to have a sequence. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and a fucking end, right?
Yeah.
And that means that there has to be pacing. So to the kind of this larger point is that there has to be one part of the story. It may not necessarily be all of the story with your Star Wars intro of here's the history of all the fucking whatever. but it does have to set the stage. And so it's like maybe have multiple films then. Like people keep talking about like the next like superhero franchise. Like why not turn it into multiples then? That might be the next way around it, is because the stories are so enormous, they're meant to be, that you maybe need a couple of films. And
Yeah,
I
do
mean,
Resident Evil.
hi Hollywood, make your money. You know what I mean though? Like maybe it has
Yeah.
to be chopped up, spread out to be believable.
It's funny you mention that actually, because the only thing they actually did, I think, well in this movie is the fact that Lilith gets her powers at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because it would have been almost impossible to explain that every character is like a special class and they all have their own special powers. And the fact that they made it like the culmination of the journey made some sense to tell the story. And then, you know, if this movie wasn't utter shit, you could have come back to a second movie and then be like, Lilith has powers. Who else has powers? We can discover powers on our next adventure. So you're right. It's important to like not try to dole out the entire video game experience in that hour and a half space.
They could have made this like this was a good way. This would have been a good way to tell a prequel to the first game, maybe. Right? If they made Lilith very young, like a teenager or maybe like a young adult, discovering her power, blah blah blah, and that would lead to other movies. That's fine, but like we get this Lilith, she's already like, oh, I'm too old for this shit. It wasn't the first thing she says in the movie, which kind of sets itself up like, hey, okay, so where do we go from here if she's already like tired? This is like the seventh movie in the franchise, not the first one.
Yeah, that sucked. Oh, that made me turn it off for a minute. I was like, shut up. Oh, come on. Don't lethal weapon me like that.
Well, at least the lethal weapon earned it by making it interesting and funny, right?
Yeah.
But this is one of the things the movie sucked with. This is again, you're picking the wrong video game. You didn't pick the wrong video game, but you applied the video game in the wrong manner.
Yeah.
Lilith in the video games, the ages are not brought up, but generally I would say 20 to 30 in that range. And
well, it's, I mean, you could say, oh, this is in the future. People live a lot longer. Fine. Doesn't matter how old she is. Just make her be in her prime, not like I'm tired and I want to retire. Right?
Well, this is the problem, is that you're taking someone, you're forcing, you got Kate Blanchett, right?
Right.
To be in this movie, because I looked this up. She was bored during COVID and wanted to do something. So she just signed on to whatever movie project.
Yep. Yeah. That tracks.
Yeah. Makes sense. Got paid.
Yep.
Good idea. So, but then you force the story to be written around an actor because they're a name and famous.
Yeah.
But if you're making, this is a bigger conversation. Like if you're saying, I want to make a Borderlands video game, I want to make a World of Warcraft video game, I want to make fucking Assassin's Creed. You're choosing this and the name, you shouldn't have, but you did. You're choosing this because it resonates with people, right?
Yeah.
People like Assassin's Creed. All these people like these video games. Great. Good choice. You picked a video game that's popular. But then you go and immediately start changing things to make sure that people who don't like the video game are going to watch it. And you change things in a way, I think Ashley brought this up, that you're now saying, or you brought it up too, Luciano, it's like you're now saying the video game does this, but because most people, if we only appeal to the video game, we won't make enough money. We're going to appeal to people who don't like the video game. So now Lilith is going to be Kate Blanchett.
Yeah. If you wanted to, like, I was going to say, if you wanted, like, they could go and we don't care about the game people. We just care about grabbing people who don't play the game to like the franchise. But if you tell a good enough story that someone who doesn't know the IP is going to like it, then the video game people are going to like it too, because that means it's just a good story.
Yeah, but it has to be a great story that can't fuck off the things that make it so desirable as its original form. So it's like you cannot change it so much that it's no longer recognizable.
100%.
You almost want to like amplify the things that make it desirable as a game to draw in people who maybe do want to be those passive and not the actors, right? But that they get the same experiential, like, oh, this is awesomeness out of it. But like by being so like attempting to be so overly inclusive to get everyone, you get nobody. And that's you just alienate everyone because it's a bad fucking choice. Hollywood, stop it, please.
They've only been doing it for the past 30 years or something.
But fortunately, we have glimmers of hope that when it comes to good teams that either experiment through or just whether you do or you don't know how to adapt. If you when you get there, you get there. Case in point, at least from my perspective, the Deadpool Wolverine movie is a great example of creative teams that adapted properly. And I'm sure and there are loads of great adaptations, not just in video games, but in other genres in film and creative media as well.
But I think the now with Marvel especially, but even before, well, not really. With Marvel starting with the MCU, there is a kind of a formula now of how you adapt comics to movies. So that translation, let's call it translation software or the translation algorithm is there. But I don't think anybody found like a winning formula for video games.
Well, even when you think of
Not yet, at
storyboarding
least.
for films, it looks a lot like a comic book. So, like, the
Yeah.
leap isn't massive. But when you take a video
True.
game that's dead set chaos, like Borderlands, the little bit that I played of it, it's nuts. Like,
Yeah.
it is a very intense, a lot happening situation. Even visually is wild.
Oh,
And,
yeah,
like,
it's
that was
a
just
rave. It's a rave in the form of a video game, 100%.
Yeah. And so you need that kind of like the world has that energy to it that was absent. And I think that's the big, it doesn't just go video game to film. Like there's such a leap. It's like the translation is lacking enormously. And we're missing so many words and so much content and just completely different languages and no middle. So yeah, like there has to be something that brings them together. Otherwise it all falls apart. And I think that this is a really good example of that.
You bring up the idea of comics having a good translation to movies. And the things that I think always translate best to movies are things that have a story and a world built for them to work within.
Yeah.
It's not, and it was a little disappointing because Borderlands is so much about looting and the guns and stuff you get, and they didn't touch on it at all. Could have
Yeah.
a little bit, but they never touched on like the world of Borderlands is pretty flimsy. It's a means to
yeah.
a looter shooter, right?
Yeah.
And which it's interesting because Diablo is also in the same vein of like it's a loot grind, but they put so much effort into crafting a lore and a story around it.
Destiny.
Diablo 4's story is like insane, right?
Destiny's
Destiny's
the same way.
Destiny puts
Yeah.
I mean, Destiny's probably too far
Yes.
off their own asses,
Yeah,
but
yes.
they spent a lot of time crafting a story and a narrative to go along with the video game. And so you lost on Borderlands because you picked a story that didn't have great lore. And the lore it did have, you couldn't tell in a meaningful way because it's a video game and it's trying to be crazy. And so the average person wouldn't care about it, right? As you've already lost on two fronts, so how do you make this movie good after that?
Yeah. Hey, can you imagine them trying to say, okay, no, we're going to be faithful to the game. So they spend like half of the movie runtime at Marcus's choosing guns, like
Yep.
bartering for guns. And, I want this version because this version has more range. No, I want this version because it has more explosive power.
But you legitimately could have made that like a funny bit. Like
Yes.
that could have been
Yeah.
hilarious.
It's
And it
been
would have
done,
drawn
yeah.
in the people those nice little Easter egg kind of ishes. You know what I mean? Like
And
what a
it wasn't
lost
even hard,
opportunity.
right? Like Lilith could have been like in that fight that I liked so much. They could have like one of the psychos could have dropped the gun and she could have gone, "Woo, this one's better," and tossed that one, pick up, done. Right? It doesn't have to be hard, right? Yeah, that's what I meant. Kind of what I meant when I said that they were cowards, that they didn't go deep enough in any direction. They just kept it like they said they were gonna make soup, but they just boiled water. I guess that's the way that I'm gonna put this. Like it's just hot water, right?
Lukewarm at best.
Yeah. They boiled water and left it.
They just
Yeah.
left it. Room
Yeah.
temperature
And
water.
plus one's my point about like teams or folks that just don't either know how to adapt, which to me just says that this team was out of touch. Like they did not capture the essence of to really satisfy I guess whether it's a binary audience or a little bit of a spectrum of an audience that they want to appeal to or draw in.
If
Yeah.
they make a Borderlands animated movie, I'm sure it would be fantastic. To Ashley's point. Because, I mean, you play the goddamn video game, it's animated and it's stylized.
Yeah.
Heavily stylized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way that is not reproducible to a large extent.
Actually, in an animated way, they could use the same art style. It would be fucking hilarious because it's so out there.
Doesn't that remind you a little bit of that? I don't know how many movies did it, but that Keanu Reeves had a Scanner Darkly where he was completely
Rotoscoping.
Kind of,
Thank you.
kind of, yeah.
Where he was like it was him, or like everyone in the movie was, but they drew and they rotoscope drew over them, and it was semi cell shaded.
That actually would have been cool. Like if they got this cast, only they animated it with their.
Nah, that would look stupid.
Oh yeah, more stupid than what this was.
No, but because if you can't take a video game that's animated in a certain style and then make a movie about it in a completely different style.
Oh.
No, I meant do their take the actors but make them look like the game is what I'm saying. Not like Scanner Darkly. Make them look like the characters look in
maybe
Borderlands.
It would have been. I suppose it would have been a different approach altogether if they animated these actors like Kate Blanchett, this ensemble cast, and they mocapped them. I guess sort of like
ensemble cast is very generous of you.
I'm just trying to
Kate Blanchett and friends. Let's be honest.
Sure. And they mocapped them so that they could get us from point A to point B with like action set pieces, or like having them do things that humans can't really do.
Yeah,
you got to wire
video
work
game again.
humans.
No, but
Chris, I'm going to translate Ashley's facial expressions to you, and by way of the podcast, is a look of confusion mixed with disgust and a little bit of anger. And I have to agree with her because, like, even if you animated this all, the story is fucking stupid.
Yeah, it wasn't how it looked. That
I'm
was
not
the
saying
problem.
the story was worth it, but anyways, yeah, go on.
We're trying to solve for a major fault, which is shit. Like it just nothing made sense. It was poorly picked, poorly designed, poorly articulated, poorly cast, poorly acted, poorly visualized. Like, but like, like there's no real, there's no quick fix for this. It's a bad fucking choice. It's not a hot day.
I think the word you're looking for, Ashley, is blight on humanity. Yeah,
those are three words.
Blightified. I never nope. Like I feel bad about myself for having watched this film. My self-esteem has gone to shit for enduring.
Well, it's great you mentioned shit because to me, this thing, right? We're talking about a recipe you're cooking with. This is like someone says, "Hey, make a cake," and they give you shit. Are you really going to make a cake, or just be like, I can't make a cake with this? I'm sorry.
But this gets back to Hollywood just wanting money, and they thought that they could sell something to people who knew that it was who know what the product is. But they're like, yeah, but shut up and just take it. And you're like, no, because I know what it is.
Oh,
using your analogy
principle.
Yeah, using our analogy, Matt, they were like, we're going to give you cake, guys, okay? And they show up with like, I don't know, porridge. They go, this is cake. Eat it. No, this is clearly porridge. No, it's cake. Believe me. Like it's almost like gaslighting the audience. But it's
the reason why I don't think it's gaslighting. I think it's just saying make something out of shit. Is they pick something that I believe cannot be made into a motion picture that people will care about. So they started failing because of the property they chose to use.
Right. They started by failing
out of the gate.
They immediately when the gun shot off and they ran out of the blocks. They fell on their face and broke every limb in their body immediately, somehow.
I smell almonds.
And there was no way from that point forward.
But that's because they try to put lore where there isn't one. Like if they made like a more sort of Mad Maxy sort of deal where it doesn't matter how things got to where they are. People are looking for the vault. Let's make a fun movie about like vault hunting, right? That could have been okay.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have won any Oscars, maybe, but don't try to give me this whole bullshit. We didn't even talk about this, but like the attempt at appeal at emotion, like the mom abandoned her, and now she's the power of love, and like fuck you, don't give me that.
Too late for that.
Yeah.
By the way, yeah.
And it also doesn't fit the narrative. Like they opened with a woman shooting some shit up because she was cranky. She just wanted her whiskey. She's like, "Yo, I want to get paid and murk shit. Dope." And then they turned it into this confusing fucking I don't know what, trying to pull every goddamn thread.
Yeah.
Hey? It's just
No,
Sorry.
actually, what she needed was love. That's what she was
Oh.
looking for. Fuck.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. You're telling me that Eli Roth doesn't know female characters?
Yes.
I mean, I'm
That's-
a woman,
shocked.
so I guess I'm not entitled to an opinion on that.
Not according to Eli Roth, you're not.
I preach. Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It takes a man to tell a story about women properly, I think.
A white man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a white man on this podcast, I feel like it's my place to remind you how the patriarchy works.
Thank you. And as a woman on a podcast with 3 men about a video game adaptation into film, I feel that's exactly the right thing for you to say to me right now.
A video game adaptation with a female main character, too.
Yes.
Yeah. No need to include any women in the screenwriting or the directing of said film. To
I
make
mean,
it,
Eli
believable.
was all over that fucking credit list. Gee whiz.
Yeah.
4 times at least, anyway.
yeah, again,
I
maybe
think
no
we'd
one
be-
else wanted their name on it.
The living shit out of this? Yeah.
Well, actually, you bring up a good point. I think that the reason why no women are involved in this is they know better than to be involved in a piece of shit. They're like, no, don't. You know, you can have the credit, Eli. I do not need this credit. No, thank you.
Even
I
the
need
people
a
that
job.
were part of it, like, just can you not mention my name? please?
Correct. Just
take
you
it off.
take
Just take
you all
all the glory is yours.
all.
Yes.
I'll catch it. Rain check.
Listen, on
Holy.
that beautiful note, let's stop supporting Eli Roth. Don't go see any more of his movies. Let's ask questions. Let's ask fun questions and get off this depressing topic.
Shazam!
Hey, how does somebody become a psycho? In the movie, specifically, the psycho character Krieg was the psycho.
You just
Yeah.
deflated
Yeah.
me. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Well, no. Chris,
Yeah.
do you know how?
So it looks so based on what we saw in the movie, cycles are only on Pandora. So I think that
It's treasure piss for sure.
okay,
You start by
Sure.
by snorting it.
Okay.
you snort Thrasher piss. Is that what that monster was that they drove the
Yeah.
vehicle through?
A
Yeah.
thrasher. Yeah.
Oh,
Is that
so
why
then-
Tiny Tina's kind of crazy? Because you got
A little bit of piss in her
face?
mouth.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't like
Yeah,
where this
you're
is
on-
going. It feels
you're
very
onto
R.
something.
Kelly.
Oh no! Why did you have to? Why did you have to do that?
You said it. You put the ingredients on the table, and I was like, "Stop it!
Oh yeah.
Stop it! You
I-
can't unhear it because you
Chris?
let me there. Yeah,
no. Incel Spencer is not here in this podcast.
Yeah.
We're
Listen.
stopping dead in our tracks. No more R. Kelly
fine.
talk.
But I didn't
Oh,
listen. I don't support. But that
God.
was weird. Anyways, I wasn't even going in that direction. I was like, this planet seems to be in mostly desert. Okay, so are they losing their minds and like resorting to cannibalism? Are they eating dust?
Oh,
I don't know.
maybe there's some sort of special element on the sand that
like
they can
Dune.
collect.
There's some spice
Yeah,
on it. And
thank
they're
you for
licking-
explaining the fucking joke.
I don't know. That was a joke.
It was
And-
going to be if you
In
hadn't
Chris's,
explained
in
it,
Chris's defense, it was not a great joke.
but it was a joke nonetheless that he
You know
killed.
what?
Anyway,
You know what? I think you guys have had long enough attempts. Maybe the patriarchy needs to set this one out. Ashley, can you save us, please?
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna go with like a old school, like a gamma ray fucking too much rads because they all is jacked and bald. So there's
This
some
is-
kind of like steroidal or like amplified through the atmosphere bullshit. It's some weird planet, right? And given it's a barren landscape, I'm gonna go with like something on the ultraviolet side that like if I want to be science or whatever. Or because they keep jumping into and out of holes, something to do with really deep fucking holes in planets. I don't know. It's a lot. I missed that part. I don't know. That's it. What I got. Sorry, patriarchy. That's
Sorry,
my take.
don't ever say sorry to the patriarchy.
Well, no, you wouldn't know what to do
Luciano,
with it.
you don't apologize to Luciano, the chairman and president of the patriarchy.
I'm not.
Ugh.
It's a running gag that we do.
But yeah, they're all bald, right? Did I miss that? Am I making
They,
that up?
I think
Most
so.
of the men are. The women seem the every one female
The-
psycho for every like 50 male psychos. The females did have hair.
Huh.
I don't remember seeing.
They all
Same.
wear masks, and going from Krieg, they all have like scars and stuff.
Huh. Mutations.
Mm-hmm.
Or infection due to treasure piss.
You know what? I said no. I said no.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
We're moving
see
on.
that?
Back to this.
No,
Alright.
we're moving on.
Save me.
Let's make this simple and easy. How
Yeah.
do hologram stealth shields work? At the end of the
Oh,
movie,
no.
we see
Oh no!
a hologram stealth shield used to hide Atlas and his army, and also the like spaceship with the space cannon.
And also
I'm
to protect
confused.
him somehow.
Yeah, they're also the shields. He also has one on his person, and it blocks stuff until it doesn't. I actually looked away. I don't know how the cannon got destroyed. It's not important. No one cares. But I do want to know how these things work. So, could you guys give me some like the technical specs?
Didn't
Details.
he have on like a bedazzled vest at one point? There was like some
It looked
vest
that
with
way.
like gems on the back. Was that
Yeah.
some?
So we just need. Could I have this if I bedazzled my T-shirt?
I
You
should
can
hope
only
so.
find out if you do it.
All right, well, I'll get
If
on it.
you can get a shirt bedazzled / a vest, you're winning.
Yeah.
Like that is a
Yeah.
force field. 'cause,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I feel
Matt.
like people-
Get like a vest, fill it with crystals, and go taunt people. Let's see how it works.
Yeah.
Why do I have to taunt people? I feel like I
Because
just.
you have to test it.
Because you're protected.
Yeah.
I guess if I have to. All right.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's like mystical the way that it works. It's they say holographic because that's the language of the land. I think it's more like healing crystals, like supercharged.
She just said
Reiki.
bedazzling. You're really going to try to steal her answer?
Yeah, no, I'm yes, ending her answer.
Oh, okay.
But they're
Thank you.
special
Much better.
gems. It's
Yeah, that's
just
great job.
the
Great job,
patriarchy has
but they're actually
established their most
special
special
gems.
the gems.
No, I'm just playing on the answer.
Yeah.
It's the same answer,
It's
only
the
better.
same
No, I'm
answer.
kidding.
Wow.
I'm just
Wow.
saying it's the same. Don't worry about it. Wait.
there's something
Oh,
there's
man.
something to be said that was still like because we touched on how confusing that like end set piece by the vault was with the hologram curtain of sorts.
I mean, we
Chris,
touched it on the pre-show.
It
But
is
go ahead.
a hologram stealth shield.
Yeah.
You're talking about the personal that Atlas had, or Atlas versus the Atlas shield versus the hologram curtain?
Hey, man, I don't know
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Okay, great. So thanks for interrupting me.
welcome.
Don't interrupt my kung fu. Anyways, so it was confusing.
Yeah.
With the hologram curtain, it requires a level of
Hologram stealth shield.
Oh my
No,
It has a name.
It's a curtain now. Let
It's
the
a
man
I'm
cook.
talking about
Let the
two
man
different
cook.
things. Atlas had a personal stealth shield, but his entire army needed a curtain in order for them to literally peek out from behind and say, "Hey, bitches, we were here the whole time."
Sorry, so those
Blah,
are
blah, blah.
different things? I thought it was all one same thing.
They look like different things to me. I think I perceive them as different things. Atlas has a personal shield, and then to
Sure.
hide his army, there's a curtain.
What about the shield that protects the space stick?
The space stick?
Yeah,
The spaceship.
the shuttle space.
Yeah. It's similar to Atlas's, only bigger.
Okay.
Because it was both
right.
hidden, and then when Lilith tried to ram it, it
Oh, that was
protected
so dumb. That
Somehow.
whole scene. She's
Yeah.
like getting shot at. She can stop bullets. She gone bonk on some force field.
Right.
It broke her. I'm like,
It's very
really?
Captain Marvel.
And
Sorry.
then it didn't work when she tried to destroy it, but then it did work. Yeah. Because
She was
reasons.
dodging and reasons.
Sorry, I'm making a lot of faces again. They're all disgust.
They're
Faces
silent
are
faces.
woke.
It's everything's good. Chris, you want to answer this question finally? I don't know why you keep stalling.
I wasn't stalling. This is participatory and collaborative, motherfucker. Furthermore, the curtain, you want to know how it works. Okay, it requires a lot of setup. And so you've got different members from the Crimson, what are they called? Crimson something? Crimson Jack Palances
Guard.
stake in different areas so that the curtain can be supported.
Okay.
And when I think about that scene, someone had to get there. Like, how were they so close? How did they put the curtain there? Anyways, it works based on solar energy and panels.
Right. Like
Wait, you're saying that
panels
there's like
that
a
like crystals?
yeah
No,
healing
panels that are-
crystals.
No, I don't want to co-opt Ashley's
That's
answer.
it. I'm out.
Solar
Yeah.
lamp stakes that you have to strategically place in certain areas so that
Wait,
you can
so
give
you're
the
saying-
effect of a
That was on
curtain.
Star Trek.
So what you're saying is that Ashley's wrong, is what you're saying.
No, there are many answers to scenarios.
No, but what you're talking about, that's like the tripods in Star Trek, the next
Yes,
generation.
that's exactly what I was thinking. To
Yeah.
increase the beaming ability.
But that also means that it was probably like there's a whole job title in that army of just people who got to stand around next to these sticks until they
Yeah.
get buzzed. They're like, "Yo, we got someone incoming," and then they got to turn
Tripod
them on.
jockeys
Like their
is
whole
what they're
job is
called.
standing there with that
Stick jockeys. Come on, man.
That's
I
it.
didn't want to go the full.
But you wanted to go down the pith route easily.
Well, I
Twice.
got chastised for it, so I tried to rein it in.
Rated in. You went back.
I know.
Anyways.
Hey,
Hi-yo.
Chris and Luciano. I want to ask a different question. So shut up.
Oh, right, fine.
Hey, how? I think this question's for Ashley specifically. We'll find out. Anybody, not just Ashley, but Ashley. How is Claptrap the real villain of this movie?
No, you go, Ashley. It's all you.
Listen. So it's no, because I wanted to love. I did. I've mentioned I adore the robots. It was all so good, but it was just such a letdown. So it's like the villain of, like, I suppose it's the opposite to kind of what was said earlier, like about the hopes that were bound up in it. For me, like, it was such a fucking letdown. Because I'm like, I've never disliked a robot in my life. And so for me, the villainry here is that it was an unlikable robot that wasn't evil. It was just shit. And I've never met one like that before. And I don't care for it. And my worldview is fucking altered now because I got a fucking cute robot who should be like a sassy little bitch who isn't. Who's just moody and weird and kind of rude, and I don't like them. And now my whole existence is fucked.
I think
That's
it
my
sounds
issue.
like Claptrap is the villain of your life more than the movie.
It preached. Yes, we're now making this about me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it is
Oh, that's great.
ruined my whole existence. And yeah, so
So by proxy, he also ruined this movie.
I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
He was
in all
the end
fairness, it was
credits,
already
too.
ruined at the start. Like there
I actually
wasn't.
I laughed at that stupid thing in the credits. I hated myself, but I laughed.
Y'all remember being in elementary school and there was that one fucking kid who just annoyed the shit out of everybody and no
Yeah.
one really addressed it? To me, that's Claptrap.
Yes,
Fair.
and it's not likable. Like, they're probably hurting on the inside or something, but you still just don't want to hang because it's so annoying.
You want the distance.
You feel bad for them, but not bad enough that you want to do something about it.
Because you're a kid, you're still a kid, and you want your own space and your own experience, and you want to go and play your own games. But this annoying kid is always finding a way to, like, okay, I hate to say it, but like there's sort of like this. It's sort of like an Urkel effect, always butting
wow.
into your home space
Whoa.
when you just want to be a family.
That resonated deep, though. Okay.
Hey guys, got any cheese?
I mean, tell me you couldn't hear
I mean,
Claptrap saying that in the
not-
movie.
That just happened in my brain. I
Yeah.
would have liked him better.
Yeah.
But yes, that's.
Did I do that?
All right, it's too much. I can't.
Yeah.
I wish you were dead, Lily.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
That's what he would say.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah. Okay, Chris. Thank you. Hey,
He said that.
no, we need to get off this topic.
Fine.
And this is the perfect segue. This is how you know I'm a professional podcaster.
Yeah, because you keep repeating it. That's how you know.
Exactly. The cast in this movie is weird. None of
Ugh.
it makes sense. We talked a lot
Fuck.
about Kate Blanchett,
Yeah.
but everybody kind of sucks. So let's go through some cast members and let's recast them to people that may have made a better movie. I don't care how you choose the person to replace. It's your choice. You can explain it if you want. Doesn't matter. But let's go, Luciano. You have the most Borderlands knowledge outside of me.
Probably.
So you get to replace Kate Blanchett, Lilith, with like the Lilith character.
I see. So we would want someone
I see.
who would do a better job of representing Maggie Smith.
Great. Perfect. Nailed it. No notes. Moving on. Chris, can you replace Roland, Kevin Hart?
I can replace Roland, and you know who I'm going to replace Roland with? None other than one Danny Glover.
Perfect. This movie is
This
movie is excellent so
it's
far.
turning into Borderlands, the geriatric edition.
It's turning into Borderlands, the red cut.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
It's great. Ashley, can we replace Tiny Tina?
Danny DeVito.
I love where we're
Oh
headed.
my god, that would legit. I would legit watch that.
I love where we're headed. Great. Luciano, can you replace Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis?
Sure. Let's see. Scientist who needs to be kind of
Ken
wacky.
Watanabe. Ken Watanabe.
Okay. Ken Watanabe.
No, don't listen to me. Don't
No,
listen to me.
okay. Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Okay, interesting. I like it.
Damon.
Yeah, like specifically Goodwill Hunting Matt Damon.
Obviously, that's fair.
Oh,
Chris,
yeah.
can you replace Atlas?
Atlas, I would like Atlas to actually be. There's something. I actually want to see.
Eddie Murphy.
No,
Hey man, it's Chris's turn. Don't steal his
He
thunder.
did it to me.
it's okay. It's okay. I want it to be. Bryce Dallas Howard.
Okay.
As Atlas?
Yeah.
Oh my
Why
god.
not?
No,
Why not?
I'm trying to imagine this movie in my head. It's great.
Oh, even better, Catherine O'Hara.
No, we're taking
Yeah,
Bryce Dallas
Bryce Dallas
Howard. Moving on.
Howard. I agree.
Ashley,
Yeah. But anyways,
we couldn't finish this category without asking you who should replace Jack Black as Claptrap.
Quentin Tarantino.
I love it.
Wait, I have just one follow-up question. Would this robot be obsessed about feet as well?
Probably.
Okay.
Lilith's feet. Ew.
Oh god.
I mean, just all in general is meh, but
yeah.
Everybody's feet.
All right.
And then Claptrap would break the champagne to get everyone's feet wet. Ew.
why are you
Hey,
doing
Chris?
this to this podcast?
Yeah.
This is the second time. Don't. Ooh.
This is
my
this is
bad.
on you now.
It's
No
my
one-
bad.
Not my fault.
It's my bad.
You're
It's my
just-
bad. I asked the question. It's my
No,
bad.
but your brain.
Do you see?
No, this is still your fault.
So they said feet, and I yes anded it.
Listen, I love your yes anding, but
But it's
pick
your
a
fault.
different direction.
Go the other way. Turn around. Stop.
Opposite.
And go the other way.
I'm
That
telling
would
you,
be direction.
sometimes it shouldn't be yes and. Sometimes you should be no. What the fuck?
That sounds familiar.
I mean, maybe. Let's just move off this question and get to something that Chris can't possibly mess up for us.
Uh-oh.
Chris-
I'll try not to.
There is. Okay, let me describe this to the people at home so they understand. Chris, there's a character you named Bernie in the pre-show. Bernie was the gentleman who was talking to Lilith in the bar with the two hired guards, and then Lilith shot both the hired guards as Bernie bent over. Or I think she punched Bernie. And Bernie then has to be the face of Atlas after Atlas's other face guy dies, but he looks like Atlas. We're not talking about that. It's just fucked up, and I wanted to mention it. But I do want to ask, what did Bernie really want to do with his life? Because it doesn't seem like he wanted to be there.
I agree. That makes a lot of sense. And before Atlas Corp, there was a time and place and space when Bernie was on the precipice of unlocking his true potential. The skill tree that was left ignored, you might say. Yeah. And that skill tree is all encompassing around the delicate and intricate art of ceremonial union bond cake topping decoration. Only cake topping decoration. Okay. No one gives a fuck about the rest of the cake. It's only the top of the cake. The top it requires patience and empathy and presence in order to top the union in a way that is reflective of the beings that are coming together in loviness. and he didn't get that support. He didn't get that support.
What was
because he needed money.
Right. What was his like favorite, like his grand vision? What would be the perfect cake topper in his eyes? Don't you fucking dare. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
There was a time and a place in his face when he claptrap and a thrasher.
God damn it. God.
Listen,
You said what was the favorite, and all I did was put them together.
Was not going to say trash or piss.
Thank you. Fuck.
Do you see?
I see.
This is Chris's
All
fault.
I said was
I
favorite.
take no responsibility for this.
They could have been battling on top of a cake.
Okay. Is the
Some
cake
people wanted
yellow?
Epic.
It's at this point in the podcast I have to apologize to Ashley. Maybe watching this movie was a better use of your time than being on this podcast. Is all I'm going to say.
Oh, no, this has been fun. I've learned a lot about people.
Yeah, too much.
Mostly these
Too much, some would say.
Yep.
I might be disturbed now. It's fine. It's fine.
Would you like to take a crack at Bernie's, what his life was meant to be?
Yeah, I think, like, from what I saw, he was wearing, like, a really fancy suit. It looked like he gave a damn. And I think, like, he probably saw himself as, like, this is an entry into, like, the corporate world. One day I'll, like, get atop it. I'll be a part of this industrial moment. And I think he had, like, his sights, like, completely unqualified. But someone with big dreams for a big life at the Atlas Corporation, doing maybe techie stuff. But this was his first day. This was orientation. And shit got weird.
That was
That's why
onboarding. I see.
Yeah, that's why he's
that
dressed so
makes sense.
nice.
Yeah.
Dressed
Do you think he
for
was
the
aiming
rest.
for like an associate director position?
Yeah, and dressing for the job he wants, not the job he has.
Right.
It was like his first day walking those two goons
I
around. make sure they didn't get
honestly
lost.
think Bernie is his title. When you first started Atlas Corporation, you're a Bernie.
You're a
that's what
Bernie,
they hire
yeah.
you as.
That's fair because I think in the credits his name was Jack or something like that. So
yeah, Jack the Bernie.
Poor
Jack
Bernie
Bernie.
level 1, Jack. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Junior Bernie. That's what he was.
yes,
That's it.
yeah, I think that's it. Junior Bernie. That makes sense actually. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what else I got here. We did that. Yep. Oh, hey, what is in the vaults? Because like we see the
Cthulhu and squares.
and some squares that light up
Yeah.
with mystical writing. But like, what's actually in the vault? Or like, what else? I don't know. What's in the vault?
It's the friends we made along the way. That's what's involved.
Next person.
Iridian Bitcoin.
Okay.
Oh,
That's better.
okay.
Iridian iCoin? Idcoin. And like really and truly, it's a vault full of bad choices, and so they don't want
It's Spencer's NFT collection. That's what's in there. That's what's in there.
Oh, because it's like they're trying, like the Iridians are trying to diversify their portfolios, and
Right.
they're like, okay, well, we got to put this somewhere, and so
But wasn't it supposed to be like an archive of epic knowledge and shit? Like, isn't that what they were saying? It was like all the decisions, all the knowledge, all the tech, all the stuff, and we just got like little.
They never really like specify. They keep it very vague and hazy. Like, oh, there's like awesome stuff in there.
mystery.
Yeah.
So it's just a big, like, one big baddie, like Cthulhu, fucking hanging with
I
some.
mean, it's like
squares.
Cthulhu's library.
I mean, but then have
Oh.
books like those little.
No,
I don't know,
he
it's getting
reads cubes. That's what Cthulhu reads.
yeah.
Books
I think
got
the
all
knowledge-
the tentacles and the page turning. It's very
Yeah, it's
very-
a whole thing.
Okay, first of all, so that's Skyrim, right? We've all seen this. Don't let me pull. No,
It's okay.
no. What?
Explain it
Oh.
for our listeners because they might not know.
Oh
This is
my
definitely not
God.
me personally that doesn't know. It's just the listeners.
Oh, I'm okay. But this is like my favorite topic, so I won't go too hard on it. But there's like this entity, and it's like the keeper of all knowledge, and it has very tentacly. But you get to like portal into its world, and its world is built of books. and the books actually move, and like everything, every piece of architecture is a page or a book. It is like, and dark and magnificent. And there's keepers of books that are very demony, but like hooded. Oh, it's so great. That's what that shit should have been.
That
We should have
sounds
watched
like
that movie.
that sounds like a cool idea. It has no place in this movie.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
he said, "What is it?" That's what it is. But oh, pardon me. No, this film's all about going to this portal to a place with some tentacles and squares. Got it. Yeah, memo received. It's real great visioning there. It's
Thanks, TripAdvisor.
Pandora's safe.
Yeah,
that's it.
All right.
2 stars.
I have one final question. At the end of the movie, there are fireworks, and normally our questions are made up. This one's real.
Genuine.
It's a genuine question. Why are there fireworks?
What's
that's a good
being
question.
celebrated? Are they heroes? Did they
Because, like,
do
let's
something?
think about it. They probably never told anybody that they found the vault and that there was just hentai inside, right?
Yeah.
So they never told that to people. I would say. So, like, what are they celebrating in that city? That Atlas is dead?
It's the first thing I thought when I saw the film.
think I
I'm not
killed
gonna lie, I'm
Chris.
like, right. So
Yeah.
Maybe they do know it's hentai inside the vault, and that's what they're celebrating.
You know, that actually makes sense.
Unlimited tentacles for all.
The originals are like, you know what'll save this planet? Tentacle porn.
Yeah, there you go.
Problem solved.
Chris is dead. We lost him.
killed Chris. That's it.
Okay. So they're celebrating.
Oh.
There's something to celebrate there.
They're
The
celebrating.
secret of hentai is preserved.
Yeah. They're,
And Lilith is all thanks for it, Ashley. One leg Riker, the hentai is protected.
Fuck no.
And then the little kid's like, "Do your flaming." That's a sentence. "Do your flaming dance in the sky."
That sucked so bad. That was so
Yeah.
dumb. It's like, oh, what now? They're best, like mom daughter, but bestie.
not just that, she goes into the sky, and for some reason she can do like a drawing
Phoenix.
with her power for
Yeah.
no reason.
I'm sorry, it's actually called air stenciling. I'll have you know.
She would call it that, yeah.
And then the smarmy little look on the kid's face is like, "Oh, the camera's panning in on me. I better hold this." Grin.
But so okay, but fireworks, right? And assuming this whole premise is that everyone's been fighting and murder, death, killing each other to get to
For
this
ages,
portal
right?
for like eternitas, and now it got done, and people are gonna stop killing.
Or maybe,
Why don't they
maybe
just
that's what the
back
party
then?
is about. They're like, "Oh fuck, we can stop killing each other. That's great."
Thank God. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because famously, if we're all looking to find something because we think it's going to save our life from abject poverty and failure, when someone else finds it,
We all
and we don't
celebrate.
get to benefit from that, we celebrate.
Of course, yeah. It's
Right.
just, that's just
But
human nature.
They didn't share nothing.
We're so happy for the other person forgetting what we wanted is the one thing in our lives, right?
But
It's
what
been
if
found, y'all.
they share the hentai?
So go back to my idea of free
I'm thinking
free
going back
tentacle
around to
porn
it.
for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, what's not to love? So
We get to have hentai! June!
great.
Get the good booze! You were right, Ida Mae. I'll go get that. Why you gotta go get the fireworks? I don't mind if I do. Hey, Clem! They found the hentai! Finally, our lives are
I
complete!
don't think
Oh,
Hold on,
here
hold
comes
on.
the hold down.
I don't think the word hentai has ever been uttered with that accent ever. Like not in earnest, at least.
So I guess I'm never invited back. I made this go to places. Thanks, team. I've now been, yep.
Great.
Oh,
We're going to move on from that like professionals and give our reviews of this movie.
All right.
We use a very technical scale. S is the highest, F is the lowest.
It's our own creation and our concoction, not copied
Definitely
from
brand
anywhere
new.
else.
No one else has ever used that. There's
Yeah.
definitely not ranker sites on the internet or anything like that.
Right.
And so we're just going to give you the letter grade and a brief synopsis on why we give it that letter grade. And now you'll know if you should watch this movie or not, if you haven't figured that out already. Chris. Would you
Y'all,
please take it away?
anyone listening to the sound of my voice right now, do not watch this movie. What you need to do, you need to understand all of the other possibilities. You could take up floral arrangements. Why don't you do something dexterous with your hands? Why don't you step away from the TV for once in a while and hug your family? Don't waste your time watching this, whatever this was. Obviously, there's been no foreshadowing in this conversation whatsoever. This movie is an F-bomb. Okay, fuck. Don't do it. Save yourselves. You're better off watching hentai.
He's not even in his chair.
I'm not even sure what he rated this.
F.
I said F-bomb.
Okay, I was
F
just
is an
checking.
F-bomb.
Thank you. I was just checking. It went on for a while, and who knows?
Well, we buttoned it up.
Ashley, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm gonna give it an N for no, and
Good system.
don't, because stop it, and ew.
Okay.
Sufficient.
Said
I like
the cover of the VHS box.
Just no.
Just no. Luciano?
So, like I said in the beginning, I went into this movie expecting that I was going to be head desking for an hour and a half, and I wasn't. I mean, is this a good movie? No. Is this a movie? Yeah. Are there better things you can be doing with your time? Probably. Definitely. Are there worse things that you can be doing with your time? Probably as well. A smaller number of things, but sure.
This scale is fucked.
So wait.
Oh no.
So no, honestly, like I expected this movie to be horrendous. I didn't think it was that bad. I think I benefited from having the lowest possible expectations going in. Before talking with you monsters, I was going to give it a C, but
What
I'm
the
giving it a
fuck?
D now.
You're still drunk.
Because I wasn't bored at least. That was the one saving grace of this movie. I wasn't
What were
bored.
you doing before you watched this movie?
For
I
real,
don't know,
like, are
nothing.
you
I
very
don't remember
mature
actually.
as
Maybe
a
that's the
person?
You
problem.
don't.
Maybe that's
See,
the problem.
He's been.
It's
something
narcotic.
happened.
This movie is a narcotic.
We generally ask this once a podcast, and we're late on it. But
Did you watch this movie? That's fair. No, honestly, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to. Maybe that's why.
Watch this at 1x speed.
Yeah,
That's
So
the problem.
paying attention
Listen.
to it and writing notes.
it's fine. You're wrong, objectively, and I can prove that
Listen,
you're wrong.
I'm happy that for the first time in over 50 episodes, I'm the one giving it the highest rating.
I
'Cause
can
it's
prove
never
you're wrong.
me. It's
This is not
never
something
me.
to be proud of.
I could prove you're wrong because I watched this movie and it is awful. This movie doesn't represent the video game Borderlands at all. This movie doesn't represent action movies at all. This movie doesn't represent a narrative-driven movies at all. It is worse. It is worse.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Madam Web.
No, it's not. No, it's
Yes, it
not.
is.
Absolutely not.
Madam Web at least was trying to do something, and this movie
No.
doesn't try to do anything.
No, I know.
movie
I'm
does
going to
nothing.
stop you right there. This movie was not taking itself seriously. Madam Web was.
This movie does nothing except exploit your time.
Y'all are haters, is what I'm saying.
It
I'm
was
just being
painful
honest.
at 2x speed, at 1.5.
I just like
at
totally
1x
jumped.
speed.
Do you know that scene of them like shimmying over the super bad green lava bullshit took 10 minutes? That was 10 fucking minutes.
Really?
man.
Didn't feel that long.
Because we kept to bounce around. And all they had to do was not go on the fucking thing at the same time, and they wouldn't have had any problems.
Why were they all on it at the same time? Like, did you not see
I
the
was
piece
like,
fall
I
down?
was like, oh, this is gonna fall. Let's all go together.
If it's going to fall or down again.
Yeah.
That's why this movie is stupid. This movie is dumb, and I hate it, and I wish it would die.
Quintessentially,
Don't-
why is that? Yes,
It's fine. I gave my review at the beginning of this podcast. This movie is a blight on humanity and should be stricken from the record. And
So a
blasted
C
into
for you.
space. So it's going to be an F- for me.
Oh.
Listen, there's no minus. There's nothing below F. It's an F.
We got to end.
These are
my
your
brother.
rules, Matt.
I know,
got to-
but I just want the world to know that I'm giving it an F- because it's that bad. I know in my heart.
This movie is
it is
better
the
than
worst
Madam
ranking of
Web.
all
This
time.
movie is better than Morbius. This movie is better than The Uni.
No, you're objectively wrong. We have to move on.
No, I'm not.
Because the
But
podcast
okay.
is over.
All right.
Objectively, we did it. We're going to do an informal
so
poll.
wrong,
We're going to let
Griffin.
democracy answer this question. Hey, how many people on this podcast thinks this movie was absolute shit?
Oh,
It's 3-1. You lose. Democracy wins again. Moving on. Next week, we are watching a completely different movie. We're watching a movie that probably won't be bad.
It'll be better than this. I'm pretty.
It has to be.
It's a
I'm
low
hopeful.
bar. It's a low bar.
Let's just go in with no expectations like Luciano, because apparently that fixes shit movies.
It fucking works, I'm telling you.
All right, let's all do it. We're going to watch Rebel Ridge. It just came out on Netflix.
Ooh.
It
Sounds
is
like a
the
nice
Don
screen.
Johnson vehicle.
Oh, no. Is it?
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
amongst other things. But we're going to watch it.
Okay.
Rebel Ridge, action
All right.
flick. Check it out. We'll see you next week when we watch Rebel Ridge. You're welcome that we're not watching this again. Imagine we watch Borderlands again. Just made you come back. And,
Oh my!
Now we're going to watch it and we're going to critique it from the auteur position.
Someone. But the worst part is that someone out there is going to try and do that, like dice it.
Oh,
It's
I'm
like,
sure there's like a review in a newspaper somewhere that try to go into the cinematics of it.
Fuck that.
So the thing about Thrasher Piss is...
no.
Just-
No.
no.